Hey, what's up everybody, it's Developer X. Today I'm going to do a quick tutorial on Git Workflow and how I work with tickets and how it typically works in any kind of work environment. This is going to be a quick and easy tutorial, but it's just going to be for people that are just getting started with GitHub and Git and their workflow, just getting started inside the development world. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to go check out our ticket board. So in this particular case, I'm using something called Trello. Trello itself is just a place where I typically use because it's free, it's fast, and it's easy to use. So I'm actually going to open up my Trello board and I'm going to look at these tickets. Okay, so I already have an HTML skeleton. I've already reviewed it. I'm going to put this into done. So let me give you a quick explanation on what this is. You have get done, doing, review me, and done. Okay, so typically what you'll see inside the workforce, or if inside any agile shop, you're going to see to do, in progress, review, and finished, or done. To do typically means tickets that need to get done, that you need to work on either via that sprint or a backlog of all tickets that need to be done for that project. They're usually ordered from the highest priority to the lowest priority, so that means the top ticket means that needs to get done first, and the rest of them need to get done after the first ticket's in. How this works is as soon as I want to start working on a ticket, or I want to add a feature or add something in there, I want to grab this ticket and let everybody else know that that's what I'm working on specifically. Usually these tickets will be assigned to people, or they'll be automatically assigned as soon as you drag it over, but for me, I'm just going to let you guys know. So the next thing I'm going to do in this little project of mine is I'm going to add a CSS file. Okay, and once I'm done with that, and I'm done with it, it'll be in the review section. That means when it goes into review, you're going to typically open up a PR request in GitHub. You're going to have one of your peers review that code to make sure it's good and tested, and you're also going to test it on your personal computer, and you're going to have your other engineers or your other software developers review it on their computer to make sure it's all working. You never ever want someone else to actually merge your branches or merge your PRs in. It is the person's responsibility that puts up that PR to merge that in. The reason that is because when you're coding, and let's say you do a PR request on a feature that's just not complete, or is just missing some kind of little detail, your other engineers can come in and they can add, hey, like, why did you do this? Or they'll add in, how does this work? Or they'll ask you questions about how this PR works, and it's on the developer's responsibility to kind of respond to those tickets and those comments. And if you had someone else kind of merge your tickets in, or your PRs in, you'll never get to see those comments unless you go backwards. So it's always the person's responsibility that makes the PR to merge that PR into the master branch or into the branch it needs to go in. Okay, sorry, I was on a little tangent, but hey, whatever. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get into this. I'm going to go add a CSS file to our HTML skeleton. So let me give you a quick review on what we're at and what the website looks like. Right now, we only have this hello world. I am going to show you the Git Workflow page. That's all we have. So let's add a little bit of styles, just add a little background color. Maybe we'll change the font size to something, and we'll just add something into it. Okay, so let's go open up our editors and let's add that in. Okay, so I'm going to open up my editor. I'm going to add a new file called style.css. Inside here, I'm going to do body, and background is green. Okay, and I'm going to do the H1 is going to be H1's going to be, man, I can't type today. Let's see, font size is going to be, I don't know, 48 pixels or 58 pixels, and we're going to give it a color of yellow. Okay, and I'm going to save that. Now let's look up our page. Oh, look, oh my god, nothing happened. Well, that's because we haven't linked the CSS page into our HTML page. So let's go ahead and do that. So at this point, if I were to make this a PR request, it would be wrong because that CSS file hasn't been connected. So right above, inside the head, right above the title, I'm going to add a link, and that link is going to be a style sheet, and I'm going to point it over to the styles.css file. Now if I save this and open up our text editor, you'll see that now we have a background of green and the text of yellow and a font size of 54. I think that's what I put, 54 or 58, something like that. Let's go check. Okay, oh, 58 pixels. Okay, so now we have that. So now I can sit there and say this ticket has been completed. Now, I did do a major mess up. I didn't actually create a branch on top of that. So let's go do that now. So I haven't made any commits. I haven't done any of that. So at this point, it's not messing with master branch, but you can see if I do git status, it's gonna add those files on top of master branch. And if I do a commit at this point, you're never ever supposed to merge or commit directly into master, especially if you're working with a team. If you're a solo developer, yeah, you know, it's okay, people do it. But if you're working with the team, you never ever want to merge directly into master. Like, master is the thing that you want to protect. It's the piece of code that you could always reference to, saying, hey, this is the last time my application worked, my website was great. You never want to mess with master and introduce any code that's broken or messed up. Okay, so here, because I haven't made a commit, I can actually check, I can take these files and these things that I've done and check them out into another branch by using the git checkout -b. Okay, and how I like to do it is, you'll see each one of these tickets has a little number to it. So this one has 2, and it says add a CSS file. So when I'm going into my terminal and I'm making a new branch, I want to say, okay, well, I'm working on ticket 2, so that's going to be the identifier there, so the ticket identifier, which is your ticket number. Using Jira, it's usually 3 characters plus a number, and this Trello board is just a number, so I'm going to say ticket number 2 is what I'm working on, and I want it to be add CSS file. So when you look at that branch, you know exactly what I did and what I'm working on. And so if you're ever referencing your Git logs, or if you're ever looking at the branches inside your GitHub, you'll see like ticket 2 means adding a CSS file. So now if I do a git status here, you'll see that I have index.html modified and I'm adding a new file. So if I do git add and add that in, and the period there, or the dot, means add every single file from that directory in that needs to be modified or tracked. So if I do git status, you'll see they've both been added. Now I can do it a different way by doing git add index.html and git add style.css, and that would accomplish the same thing, but you see it that I'm typing it in twice. So if I just do git add dot, it means adds them both together at one time. Okay, so I have them all set up in staging. Now at this point, I'm gonna check my work again just to make sure it's all there, refresh the page, everything's still good, and then I'm going to do a git commit -m. Now M is just shorthand for message, so that way you don't have to go to a different screen. You can just do git commit -m, and here it said added CSS file to index.html and added some body style, body and text style, body and text style. I know it doesn't make sense, but whatever. Okay, now after I do this git request, after I add this, do this git commit, the next step for me is to push it into our repo on GitHub. So how we do that is we do git push origin, which is the remote and where you're talking to. So this is going to be GitHub at this point, and we're going to give it the branch name. So it's to add CSS file. Okay, and now all this is doing is just pushing all this work into a new branch inside GitHub. So at this point, what we do is we create a quick PR request, like a pull request, right? So we're going to open up GitHub, which is here in my thing, in my editor. I'm going to go to Git Workflow's main page, and you're going to see ticket 2, add CSS file. So I'm going to compare and pull request. I'm going to say, hey, master branch is where I want this to go to, and this is the branch that I want to merge in with master. So here it's going to say, hey, look, added CSS file to index.html and added some body and text style. So immediately I already know what it is. So here I'm just going to get a little bit more in depth. Created a new CSS file called style.css and added a few styles to the body and the h1 element. So I know exactly what I did inside that ticket, and so if I ever need to reference it later, I know exactly what to look for. I'm going to hit git create pull request, and at this point, what you typically do is you have another engineer or another developer take a look at your ticket and do a PR request, like, and do a code review. So you'll open up this, you'll go to this pull request page, you'll open up that, here, let's go through the whole process. In this pull request tab, you'll see there's one pull request open. You'll go to the add CSS files, there's the pull request I just created, and it's going to tell you, okay, I created a new CSS file called styles.css and added a few styles to the body and the h1 and the h1 element. Okay, cool. I know exactly what's been done in this ticket. I know exactly what's been done in the code. Let's go review it. So we're going to say, okay, cool. There's been, okay, this is the index.html page. Looks like there's an addition. So they added a rel to the, I added a style sheet and to the style.css, and I added some styles there. So everything looks like it checks out. I've tested it locally on my browser. I've tested it on my machine, and I know it's working. So I'm going to give this a thumbs up. So I'm going to hit the review changes. I'm going to approve it. Okay, you typically want to approve it, but if you don't need to approve it, you can just leave a comment and say ship it. So for me, I just say ship it, or I'll say code looks good, ship it, which means like push it into master. Okay, and I'm gonna hit submit review. Awesome, everything looks good. I got this little code review here in place, says hey, looks good, ship it. And now it is the person's response that opened up the PR to merge this branch into master. There's a few reasons why. If someone else leaves a comment inside your pull request, if I was the one that opened up this pull request and it's my time to merge it, I could go review all the comments that were left on that PR for me to respond back to those comments, or make updated changes that need to happen to make that ticket pass. Or maybe there's something you missed or you didn't see properly, and so you want to kind of review all the comments and all like the messages left for you on the repo for you before on the PR before you get into merging this in. So at this point, there's no comments. I don't see anything else I need to code. So I'm just going to merge that pull request then. Confirm merge, and you'll see there. And then always clean up after yourself. You don't want to have a bunch of extra branches left over that are inactive and not being used. So once you're done successfully merging it, you want to delete the branch. Now everything looks good. Okay, so then what you're going to do is you're going to go back to your file here, and you're going to make sure it works. You're going to go git checkout master. Okay. Oh, misspelled it. Oh, misspelled it again. Git checkout master. And you're going to see, if I go ls, you're not going to see a styles file. Like, where'd it go? Well, that's because master hasn't got the new code in. So if we actually open up our Git workflow, you'll see nothing's there anymore. So what we need to do is we need to pull those new changes from the master branch that we just merged into our new code. So we're going to do a git pull. Okay. And there you go. Now if I go back and refresh this page, you'll see that it's there. If I open up my terminal again and I do an ls, you'll see that the styles file is there. Cool. Now we're ready to work on our next ticket. So since we've already reviewed it, everything's been done. I already reviewed it, which I didn't move in the tickets. I should have moved in here in the tickets once I made the PR. And I know everything's good, it's merged in, so I'm going to put this in the done column. So the next thing I'm going to do, just so we can get the whole workflow down, I'm going to do it one more time. I'm going to include Bootstrap. So I'm going to put this in the doing. I'm then going to open up my terminal. I'm going to create a branch. Git checkout -b3, which is the ticket number. And I'm going to give a brief description. Include Bootstrap and skeleton. Okay. Skeleton. Awesome. Now I'm on that branch. If I do git status, there's nothing there. We're on the exact same page that we were there, so nothing's changed. There's no code added. This is the perfect place to start working on your code. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to open up the browser. I'm going to type in Bootstrap, which I think it is getbootstrap.com. Okay. I'm going to grab it here. I'm going to hit the Get Started button. I'm quickly just going to add Bootstrap from the CDN. So all I have to do is just grab this guy, and I'm going to include this inside my editor. I'm going to add it before my custom styles, and I'm going to make sure I clean it up, save that. Everything's there, and I also want to add in these JavaScript files. What this does is allows us to use all the JavaScript features Bootstrap has to offer. So I'm going to go back into my editor. I'm going to paste this on the bottom of my body, right before the bottom. Okay, just like that. I'm going to do some quick looks, add that in, and I'm going to make sure everything still works. I'm going to refresh the page. I'm going to inspect it to make sure there's no errors. It doesn't look like there's any errors happening. It looks like we're good, and you can tell that the text has changed just by looking at this top container. So at this point, I just completed the second ticket, which was include Bootstrap. So I'm going to open up my terminal at this point. I am going to say, hey, I'm going to do a git status. I'm going to check that I only messed with the index.html. If you ever want to check the differences, you can do git diff, and that brings in the differences of what it was and what you added. If you're using Visual Studio Code, you can use this little tool right here and hit the index.html page. It shows you all the files you've changed, and you can see that I only added in a link, a style sheet to the header, and I added 3 scripts to the bottom of the body, and I think that's good to go. Okay, so I'm good here. You could also use Visual Studio Code to do the commits here, but I'm going to stick with the terminal just so we can do it, just so we can see how the process works. So after I see the logs and my diff is good, I'm going to hit Q to exit out of that. I think everything is great here, so I'm going to hit git add, which is getting to add all the files, and then I'm going to do a git status to make sure they did add it. All the modified files are in green, so that means I'm going to do a git commit -m, and I'm going to say added bootstrap to project, and close that off. And then I'm going to do a git push origin, which is the remote you're working on, the ticket number, and the ticket, whatever you call that branch. Now, once again, this is going to, once I did this, I'm about to create a PR. So I'll go into GitHub and I'll go back to the home page, and you'll see GitHub automatically has this. So I'm going to do compare and pull request. I'm going to then say added bootstrap CDN or styles in JavaScript files from the CDN in the index.html page. Boom. Perfect. Quick review. Add that in, and now we did another pull request. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to open up Trello. I'm going to notify the other developers, hey, this ticket that I've already completed needs review. So take a look at it if you can. If you can, what would be best here is if you actually open up, grab this pull request here, URL, go back into Trello, into that ticket, hey, write a comment, hey, ready for review, and then paste that link here and save it. Boom. Good to go, we're done. Okay, so let's just say I'm the other developer taking a look at this. I'm going to go now do something called a code review. I'm going to go look at the pull requests tab. I'm going to see, hey, there's a PR open. I'm going to click it. It says, hey, this is what? Ticket 3, include Bootstrap and Skeleton. Added Bootstrap styles and JavaScript files from the CDN to the index.html page. I see there's only one file changed. So I'm going to go take a look at this file. It looks like this is good. The ref is working. It looks like all the scripts are added. Everything looks good here. I'm going to make sure I run this on my browser. So I'm going to fetch everything, and I'm going to get on that branch by doing a git checkout to that branch. I'm on that branch, and now I'm going to load up that index file, and I'm going to refresh it. It doesn't look like any console errors, nothing's there, and it looks like it's been loaded into my HTML page. So everything looks good here. I'm going to go ahead and approve that PR. So I'm going to open up GitHub again. I'm going to say, hey, review changes. The code looks good. Ship it to production. Okay, boom, done. Submit review. Now, once again, it's the person's responsibility that creates the PR to merge the PR. Respond to all the comments that are inside that PR into it. So I know I'm the one that did it. I'm going to merge this. I merge that into master, and then I'm going to clean up after myself and delete my branch. Okay, now I'm going to open up my terminal again. I'm going to do a git checkout to master. Okay, now I'm back into master. I'm going to go open up my index just to make sure it's not the same. So it doesn't look like it's there anymore. There's no bootstrap. I'm going to fell back to the old style. And then I'm going to do a quick git pull to bring in the latest code. Okay, latest code there. Okay, now I'm going to refresh this page, and voila, looks like we have Bootstrap installed on our project and ready to go in master branch. So at this point, I'll go into Trello, I'll move my tickets into the done column, and I will grab in another one. So the next ticket I'm doing is alert on the page. Okay, cool, so I'm going to add an alert on the page. So it doesn't give me any information inside the ticket, so I'm just going to assume it's a separate JavaScript file, and then adding everything on top of that. Okay, cool. So I'm going to do this file here. So I'm going to open up my terminal. First thing I'm going to do is what? Before you start any new ticket, always do a git pull. Okay, everything's already up to date. Now at this point, you want to do a git checkout -b, and you're going to say what's the ticket number? It's 4. Add alert to page. Boom. Now I'm on that new branch. So now I'm going to open up my terminal. I'm going to open up my editor. I'm going to go back to this tab, and I'm going to add something called app.js. Okay. In this app.js, I'm going to do alert hello there. I have added an alert. Okay. Save that there. Now, even if I load up the index page, you see it's not going to do anything. So what I have to do is actually include this inside where the rest of my scripts are. So I'm going to use a quick keyboard shortcut or quick thing built into VS Code by typing in script source, and now I'm just going to give a reference to that JS file. Now if I load this now, you'll see that when I load the page, it says hello, I have added an alert. So it looks like I am done with this ticket as well. So at this point, what happens? You're right. We go back into our terminal to make sure everything is good. We do a git status. Okay, looks like those are the two things we modified. I'm going to do a second quick check on this. Okay, cool, added that in. Added this piece of script in, everything looks good. Go back into my terminal and do git add all, which adds everything into our staging. If we do git status, everything will go green. And then I'm going to do a git commit -m, added a separate JS file and alert. Add that in, and then look, it's reloading again. And then here I'm going to do git push origin for and the ticket branch. Cool. Now we just did our fourth ticket. Now we're going to go back in. Now next step is for us to, so I'm using something called live server. That's why you're seeing this. Every time it actually makes a quick change or something happens, it's going to reload my server and show you that. That's why we're getting that alerts over. Kind of annoying, but just kind of proving a point. So at this point, I added that to our GitHub. I'm going to go into GitHub itself. I'm going to go back into our Git Workflow. I'm going to create a PR just so we know what this is. Added in a quick alert in the app.js file to alert on page load. Okay, cool. Create pull request. Now next step is what? Go into your Trello board and say it's ready for review. So copy this link, go into your Trello board. Once you open up your Trello board, you're gonna grab this, you're gonna hit review, we're gonna put a comment, ready for review, and paste that link in and save it. The reason you do this is you can also tag other developers that are doing this, you can tag other people that are doing this, and you can just tag anybody you want to notify them that your review is ready to go. You drag it into your the review me section, and you're ready for the PR request. You're ready for somebody to review it. So I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna go look at the code. I'm gonna see, okay, app.js. There's an alert there, and I added that script to the source. Awesome. This is good to go. This looks awesome. Awesome. Merge with master. Cool. Now we're good to go. I'm going to go back into that, merge that pull request in, confirm the merge, and I'm going to delete the branch. Okay, awesome. Now I'm going to open this back up, and I'm going to go check out master, and I'm going to see that nothing's there. I'm going to load the page up. It's still there. There's no more alerts. So that means I need to pull that code in. So I'm going to do git pull. That grabs all the new code from GitHub into your current master branch. Now if I refresh the page, you'll see that there's the alert. Awesome. So everything's good to go at this point. I'm going to do one last one, which is edit the tutorial, which I'll do after this. But that was a quick overview on how the Git flow process works. So let's just do a quick recap on it. So when you're working on a brand new repo or a brand new ticket, the first thing you want to see is what ticket you should be working on next and the ticket number itself. Once you see the ticket number, this is the one you're committing to complete, you're going to grab that one, you're going to put it to the doing column. This means that this allows you to alert not only yourself, but others that are also working on the same project and know what part of the project you're working on at that current moment. So if you have any questions, or if they need any questions answered to you, or they need to ask you any questions or tell you something, they know that you're the one that's working on that ticket, or that ticket is currently being worked on. Okay. Once you have completed that ticket, once you have completed the work to fulfill the ticket's needs, you're gonna go open up, you're gonna review all your code, you're gonna make sure you test it one more time for yourself locally, and then you're gonna push that branch up into GitHub. So before you get started on any ticket, you're gonna create a new branch, and you're gonna do that using git checkout -b. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you what that is one more time. Git checkout -b, and then branch name. Okay, that's how you're going to get started with every ticket. Before you start any ticket, Before you start any work, you're going to do a git checkout -b. Okay. Once you're done doing the work, you're gonna create a PR. You're gonna push that code up into its new branch inside GitHub or whatever remote you're using. It can be Bitbucket, GitLabs, anything you want. You're gonna push that branch into that to the remote, and you're gonna create a PR. Okay, PR stands for pull request. After you create that pull request, you're gonna move from doing to done. Okay. Once the ticket, the PR has been approved, given a thumbs up by another developer or someone else, you're going to then merge that branch into master or golden or whatever you want to call it. You're going to merge it into your production branch. And once that branch has been merged, you're going to take this and put this into done, meaning that it's already merged into master. And then you're going to repeat that process over and over again until you get done. So I'm Developer X. I hope this helps for a quick Git review, and let me know if you have any more questions. Thanks.